Hey everyone, Leo with Dreaming Tree, and welcome to the assembly video for Santa's Shop tissue topper. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's a little tissue topper that you put on a square box of tissues that's, well, designed to mimic Santa's workshop. So I've got everything cut out in front of me here, and we're going to first start off by, and we've added a little styrofoam base. Okay, and it's this little piece here. There are two pieces that are kind of similar. One is in this blue color. There's another one that's white, and you'll notice that this one's a little bit smaller. Okay, we're going to use that as our kind of a guide to cutting this at the correct size. Okay, so what I would suggest doing is just taking this little template and putting it on your foam core, just drawing a straight line on the two sides, or if yours is not straight on two sides, you can put it in the middle. Just draw it around all four corners, and then grab yourself an X-Acto, and we're going to cut that out. Okay, doesn't need to be perfect. We've made it just a tad bit smaller than it needs to be, so there's a little bit of room for error. Just do your best to try to get that cut as accurately as possible, just like that. Okay, and we're done with that piece. So with that done, let's just do some paper piecing first, just to get it out of the way. There's a series of little windows on the house. Okay, there's 4 of them that look like this, that are this shape, and they're made up of these 3 pieces. I've already assembled 3 of them. There's a total of 4 that look like this. Okay, and I've already assembled 3 of them. Now there's one window that looks just like these smaller windows, but it's a little bit bigger, and it's just these 2 pieces. I've assembled 1 of them. Okay, so we're just going to go through and get these little windows together. So for these 4, you want to take this nice orange color that we have here, and that's going to get glued to the middle of this piece. You want I'm going to try not to overlap onto the little shutters. Those should be free-flowing so that we can add a little bit of dimension to our project. So that's going to go on just like that. We'll flip this over, and you want to go very easy on the glue here, just a few little dots, and you want to match that up with this orange piece. It's almost like if I was to name this paper, I'd call it like candle glow or something. Okay, so that's that, and there's 4 of those, so you're going to repeat that 3 more times. Then you have this little guy. Same process, just a different size window. So we're going to get this glued down first. Okay, it's going to go on just like that. And then the window frame overlay is going to go right on top, exactly like the previous size, just at a different size. Very straightforward. Okay, so you're going to repeat that 3 more times to get all 4 windows. And then again, these 2 are the same style, just a little bit bigger. And all you need to do with this is just layer these 2 sections here. Okay, so the little red frame is going to go on top of this orange. Okay, and just like that. Very simple. Okay, so that's done. Now let's take a look at a few other little embellishments that we have for this project. There's a front door, okay, and that's going to be made up of these main pieces. Okay, and what we're going to do here is the white is going to go on top of this little deep, almost pumpkinish color. So let's go ahead and get our glue going on that. like that. Got a little extra glue there. I'll pop that right on top. Just match that up as accurately as you can. There we go. Okay, and then there are two sides to this door. We decided to break it up so that you can see the middle seam, so it doesn't just look like one giant door. And this is going to go on flush with the perimeter on the outside, and then there's going to be a little bit of a gap in the center. So focus on getting it lined up with the bottom and the sides, like so. And you should have a little bit of a border around the inside there. Okay, and also ink this with a little bit of purple. And then you'll notice when you do that, if you do it accurately, there we go, should be flush with the bottom. Make sure that you don't see any of the white on the sides. See a little bit of a seam in the center to kind of insinuate that there's a middle. Okay, so that looks good. And then you'll see these little tic-tac shaped little pieces in the middle there for the door handle. What I'd just suggest doing is just putting a tiny little dot of glue in the center there and just find these little pieces. They should fit in like a little puzzle. Just drop them in there, nice and easy, like so. Should be two of them, just like that. And that one little dot of glue will hold everything in place for us, okay? So there's that. And now we have some beautiful, uh-oh, dropped something. It'll come back to haunt me, I'm sure. There it is. Dropped a tiny little star. Don't do that. We have some of these little lemon or lime wedge shaped windows. And then, of course, we have some stars, and each of these has a backing to fit it. And then there are 4 little stars that are just kind of solo, and then we have a wreath with a little bow that's going to go on top of it. So just want to get some of these little tidbits out of the way. Now for these little stars, what I would do is just squeeze a little bit of glue out right on the tip of your glue bottle, and if it's too thick, dab it with your finger. If it's thin enough, just go ahead and apply it to its shadow layer. And I got just enough on there where it didn't squeeze out and make a mess. Make sure you get that lined up as accurately as possible. There we go, there's one. We'll flip this one over. Again, squeezing a little bit of glue out and just barely hitting it, especially around the perimeter. Not so much worried about the inside, but if you can get a little bit on the inside, that's fine. Hit that with your finger to thin it out so it doesn't spread all over the place. And then pop that right onto its shadow layer. If you go too crazy with the glue on this, I guarantee you'll see it seep out in between these little details, which you don't want. You want to keep that nice and pristine. Okay. Squeezing out just a little bit of glue. Don't push it all the way down. Just push it until it leaves just a little bit of glue on that surface. There you go. And if I see any little areas where the application of the glue seems too thick, I'll just hit that with my finger, thin it out, and then by doing that, you're spreading it out also and preventing it from getting all over the place. And that's perfect, just enough. You don't need a whole ton. There we go. Okay, we got the 4 solos here. Let's put the little lemon wedge windows together as well. Same process, just a few little dots of glue. You don't need a lot. Line that up as accurately as you can. If you have a little bit of spillage, dab it with your finger. It just disappears. Okay, just keep on going around the horn here. There we go. Line that up. There we go. Okay, now this little bow here, tiny little guy. You're gonna find yourself a nice small little dowel. This is my texture side. I'm gonna flip it around, starting at the base where the little loop begins. Place your dowel. Well, actually place the loop or the bow between your finger and the dowel. Bring up the bow about 90 degrees. Very gently run the dowel through, and you can see what it did there. Curved it. Do the same thing on the other side. Very gently. You don't want to rip it from its base there at the center. Okay. And I'm going to do that one more time. And then kind of curl it and fold it against the dowel. You don't want it to, you don't want to crease it. You want to curl it and still maintain some roundness on the very edge of it. Okay, so now you'll notice in the center of this structure, there's a little rectangle, and then on the ends of the two loops, you'll also notice that there are rectangular tabs. You're going to put a little bit of glue on each of the rectangular tabs and connect them with the rectangle in the center. Put it right on top and press and hold. You can do the same thing on the other side. Just one little dot of glue, bring it in, and press and hold until you form your bow. Just like that. Okay, a nice dimensional bow. And then we have a tail for it. The tail is going to go behind it. Just a little dot of glue. And then you're going to take, kind of pull the two bows, or the two loops towards you to make that rectangular part flat, and then connect the top of the tail to the rectangular part on the back of the bow. Make sure everything is nice and symmetrical. And there's your beautiful little dimensional bow. Okay, and that's pretty much it for that. Again, the wreath, we're going to put this on the wreath ultimately once everything's said and done. One more little thing to put together is the little Santa's Workshop banner. Okay, this piece is going to be the backmost layer, and then we have a caption. It says Santa's Shop. And what we're going to do is we're going to take this layer, this green layer, and this white layer is going to go on top of it, like this. So we want to apply glue to this white layer, nice and easy. This is still a relatively small piece, so we don't need to cake it with a bunch of glue. Just like that. Okay. Now these little cutouts here are basically designed to fill in the little tiny cutouts of the two A's in Santa and the O and the P in shop. That way we don't have to sit here and manually glue all of these tiny little letters. Kind of a brilliant form of engineering here. So go easy on the glue here, nice and thin. If you need to use the tip of your glue nozzle to spread that glue thin, that's fine too. You can use your finger if you want. And just match this up. As long as the overall piece is matched up with the layer behind it, those little cutouts will magically just fall into place, and there's your beautiful dimensional caption. We don't even have to worry about doing a print to cut. Okay, and then ultimately this is going to be foam squared right on top like this to give that some nice dimension. Okay, so all of these, oh, you know what? I guess I didn't glue this big one. I thought I did. Got one more to go here. Okay, just little dots. I would not try to do lines of glue on something this intricate. Just going to end up with a gluey mess. Okay, match that up nicely. And then because that's a foil, I'm not going to push down on the top. I don't want to blemish it. There we go. Okay, cool. All right, so all these little pieces are ready to go. These are going to be the essentially the cherry on top once we get the structure assembled. Okay. All right, so a couple things we can do here. Probably just, would be a good idea maybe just to start off with the base, okay, which is made up of this piece. We've already got everything pre-folded. We've got this piece, this little guy. Let's not forget our foam. We have a nice little fence and then a small little walkway right there. Okay, so let's put this together first. We're going to do, you'll notice these little triangular tabs here. We're going to begin by applying glue to each of these tabs one at a time. Bring it in and connect it to the neighboring wall there. And just press and hold that for just a moment. Let it set. Should not take long at all. If it's taking longer, then essentially if things are not moving along as fast as they are moving along for me, try easing up on the glue a little bit. And again, if you happen to get a little too much glue, just bat it down, dab it down, thin it out, spread it out. Okay, so there's 2 out of 4. Move over to this side, pop it in, and get it connected. There we go, very easy. Just basically creating a dimensional square. Okay, last one, got the glue on there. We'll tuck this in and line that up. Give that a nice firm squeeze, and there we go. Okay, now you'll want to take and just kind of move these tabs out of the way. Just bring them up. You don't have to pull them back, just bring them up so that it's easier to take and put that in. Hold on one second here. Okay, depending on the thickness of your foam core, you may need 1 or 2. I actually put 2 in here, and that's okay. I think that's actually what our supply list shows. And what we're going to do is close this up. We're going to start off by applying glue to just one of these tabs so that we can anchor the top or the bottom. I'll probably call this the bottom because the top's already connected. It'll more than likely look better than anything we could assemble. Okay, so we're going to match this up nice and centered right out to the edge and just press that down into place. Now we have that foam core in there, which will allow us to push down on the entire tab, making this process so much easier. And that looks like a nice solid base. Now I realize it's just a tissue box and it's not that heavy, but we like to reinforce things whenever possible. Okay, and now I'm going to fold this back just gently and we'll apply glue to the remaining 3 tabs. I'm going to spread that glue out. Okay, and we'll close this up. Focus on getting it aligned with the side opposite of the side that we already have anchored. Okay, pull that. You might need to nudge the walls in just a tad to get everything to line up accurately, and that's normal. And then just run your finger along the perimeter and continue pushing down. There we go. Well, hopefully I got everything. If not, there's always a method to kind of cleaning things up, and I'll show that to you. I typically show it in almost every video, unless I'm having a really good day, in which case I still try to show you, especially for those of you that might be new. I'm hoping and assuming that this project will actually tempt, I guess is the word, a lot of new people to try out our product. So here's a scrap piece of paper with a little bit of glue right on the edge, and you can take it and just pop it right between those 2 layers that aren't sitting perfectly flush. Throw a little extra glue and give that a little extra TLC. And press that down. You always want to give it that visual appraisal. Make sure that everything's sitting nice and flush. It's paper, it's like a glorified origami, but in my eyes, I'm always trying to make this look like it's a 3D printed job. I don't want to see any seams. I want everything to look as pristine as possible. And it's not that hard to achieve. There we go. Beautiful. Okay, so as I mentioned, getting this bottom on, I've got one more little corner here that just didn't take. That's okay. Had a lot of surface area to cover. Just paint a little extra glue on there and voila. Okay. Perfect. Yeah, and this is going to be the top anyway because there are a series of little score marks here. So the bottom does look great, but the seams here were already connected and they look fantastic. Okay. All right, so next what we're going to do, this little piece here is essentially the little container that our tissue box is going to go in, and it'll prevent it from moving around. All right, so we're going to start by applying glue to just one of these tabs, one at a time, and just join that up, give that a quick press, and hold that in place. There we go, just like that. And bring that in. Line it up. You can use your surface to really push down. And moving on. There we go. Line that up. And that just leaves one more little tab here. You should be able to pull this out enough to where you can get your nozzle on it. If not, you can always use the little painting method to paint some glue onto those areas, and that would be okay too. There we go, just like that. And now you'll notice on this base here, this is the bottom that we put that last piece on. There are 4 little markers here to help you with the positioning of this to get this nice and centered. Okay, so we can flip this over, apply our glue. You can go a little bit heavier here. I would, by all means, take and spread this glue out to the edges. Go kind of quick if you went thin on the glue like I did. Okay, and match that up with the little markers. Get that nice and centered. If it's a tad off, it's not the end of the world, but for the most part, you really can't mess that up. And push from the inside as well. Help that make good contact. If you want to get right into that corner, grab a dowel, just kind of run that around the perimeter right up to the edge. Okay. And flip that over, let gravity do some of the additional work. We'll put the fence on here in just a minute. That's the fence piece. And there's our little walkway. In the meantime, let's start putting together the main structure here. Okay, so a few things we can do here. There are some flat pieces that are going to go on this, and it's always a good idea to apply these flat pieces while your project is flat. So you'll see here, there's markers on 2 of these. They're different, okay? And let's see here. There's one with a set of markers where in the center here, there's 6 markers that are about this big, and then there's one, this is the front, and the front has 4 markers in the shape of a circle. Okay, so let me just lay this out so you can see what's going on here. The one with the 4 markers in the shape of a circle is going to take that piece, and then this one is going to go right here, like so. This is the back, this is the front. And since this is the front, the door is going to go right here. There are 2 markers here, and there are 2 markers here, and those are to help you with the positioning of the door. Okay, just to make sure that you get it nice and centered. All right, so let's do that. Let's get the door in first. And we're doing this because everything's nice and flat. The dimensional windows, we can actually put those on as well because the little shutters fold flat, and they're not going to cause any harm or disrupt the process in any way. So we can do that without any problem here. Let's get the door in place. Make sure that the bottom of the door is flush with the bottom of this panel. And I just noticed that this little part of the door here, I didn't get that down as flush as I'd like to. I could just paint a little bit of glue right on there and press that down. Okay. All right, next, there's a dimensional part to this banner that we're not going to worry about, but this part goes down flat. And there's two little markers right here and here that match up with these little sections that meet the main part of the banner where the tails come out. They're a little bit thicker, and those are going to go in there just like that. So you want to match those up like that. That's going to go down flat. So let's get our glue on that. Nice and easy. Don't need to overdo it on the glue here. Here we go. Press that into place. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2 markers here, 2 markers here. And this is going to be for these solo windows here that look like that. Okay, see those there? Those are the only ones without shutters that are shaped like that. And those are going to go on, well, it's going to be one on each side of the door. And you're going to use those markers to guide you with the placement. Make sure they're nice and straight. There we go. Pop this one in place as well. And just give it a quick little visual. Make sure that despite the fact that we have markers, let's make sure that they're nice and straight up and down. And they are. Okay. Now here and here, remember how we had those 4 little stars that were solo, they had nothing else on them? Those are going to go right there, and you can see how the markers create the shape. Just match those up. I just didn't put enough glue on there whatsoever. Thought I did. Apparently I didn't. There we go. There's one. Grab another little guy. He's going to go right there where those little markers are. Just one little dot. More than enough. There we go. Okay, and above that, you're going to find this little guy. You're going to find this little guy. Okay, and then over here, these little markers actually go into the valley portions between the points. So all those markers are going to terminate or actually match up, whoops, with the valleys of the points. So just make sure you get that lined up correctly, just like that. Okay, and then with this, same thing applies to this star. Those little markers are going to go in between the points, not at the points, in between, in the little valleys. So just line that up as accurately as you can, just like that. Okay, and now we've got this guy. He's going to go right here, and we want him to be, we want the points to be up and down, and get those in between those 4 markers, like that. The little wreath, since it's going to be dimensional, we'll put that on after this panel is on the main structure. But right now, you just want to focus on making sure that that center, this little center line, is matched up with this line. Try to get that lined up as accurately as possible. If you want, you can use a little ruler to ensure that you have it lined up correctly. And there we go. Okay, so that's going to be the front. There's obviously some additional pieces that need to go on it, but for now, we're good. All right, now on the back, you'll notice that around this star, there's 2 little stars. And again, these markers are going to go in between the points of the star. So go ahead and get that lined up, like that. Press that down. 1 star, 2 star. These are the little tiny little guys. Just a little dot of glue on that will do. And these markers are going to go right at the tips of the points. Get that nice and centered. Whoops. This is where a little pick-me-up tool might be handy. There we go. Pick-me-up tool is essentially a little pen with a little bit of putty on the end of it to hold embellishments and small pieces of paper like this one. I sometimes use that. You don't always have to though. Okay, there we go. All right, now below that are going to be these 4 small windows, these little guys here, and you're just going to get each one of these in between those markers there. And we're not going to glue the shutters down, just the main parts of the window in between those little markers. Just like that. You can let those kind of float free. Not going to harm anything. And we'll put this one here. And then take a look and just make sure that they're all nice and flat and flush. If you want to grab just a piece of paper, check your alignment. You can use the straight part of your mat. Kind of see if, in fact, you got them nice and straight. That looks straight to me. Looks good. We'll continue here with the remaining 2. And let's get that in place. Here we go. And I got one more somewhere. There he is. Okay. Get that lined up. Okay. All right, so our front and back are good. And again, when we apply this, we can put that down flat, not going to hurt anything. All right, good. Now, let's take a look. There are 2 sides to this. There's one, and there's the other. And let's take a look and see if we can identify the score marks. And each of these sides is identical. So for the markers down here, you've got 2 windows that go here, and then one of these. And then for this one here, that one there, this one here, this one here. And that just leaves us with the wreath and that's going to go on after the whole thing's done. And our banner, which again is going to go on after the main structure is put together. So we'll grab one of these windows, apply your glue, and again, the markers here are there to guide you. So use them to your advantage. And let's just make sure that everything looks nice and straight. There we go. I'll put this piece down. There we go. And there's that. And make sure that that one looks straight relative to the other one. And that one looks good. So there's that side. You can put that off. And we'll do the same thing here. Get this in place. And then we can start working on the construction of the main part of our little workshop here. There we go. Okay. Make sure that's nice and straight. Looks good. And the last one. There we go. It looks a little up. There we go. Cool. So we have the 2 main pieces of our main structure. I'm going to grab one of them, doesn't matter which one. and begin applying glue to the largest tab on one of the sides. And we're going to spread that out nice and thin. And lay that down flat, grab the other half, and I got a little bit of glue on there, but that's okay. We got a panel that's going over that, not a big deal. Line this up so that the bottom is flush. Get that right out to the very edge of that tab. Press that down right before the seam. Then we can take this and fold it over onto itself. And we can kind of nudge it. Make sure that these two edges here are right on top of each other. And then press that down. There we go. Just like that. Okay, there we go. And now I can open this up. It's all one solid piece now. I'm going to close this up by applying glue to this tab. Like so, nice and easy. I might have went a little bit, might have been a little too generous with the glue on the other side. Now with this, you could technically just fold it down like this and bring the other half over and drop it right into place, and it should match up perfectly. There we go. Take it and fold it over onto that seam. Press that down. Make sure everything's nice and aligned. Give that one more good press. There we go. Just like that. Okay. And let's take a look at that. Not my best work. That's okay. I'm going to throw a little bit of glue on a scrap piece of paper, tuck it in between these layers here, and give that a little extra TLC. There we go. Much better. Okay, so now you can go ahead and open this up. Okay, and you can see here we have the two peaks on the front and back, and then we have these two sides. And what we're going to do is we're going to take this piece first. Actually, no, I'm sorry. We're going to take this piece. Hi, buddy. I got a cat friend. He's outside hunting. You want to come say hi? Come here. Come in. Come in. There you go. This is Pumpkin, my 10-year-old orange tabby. He's got access to the studio whenever he wants to come in. He's outside hunting. Yeah, I love you so much. My good dude. Yeah. Sweet boy. Okay, let me finish my work, okay? And we'll get some food. I love you so much. Yeah. Sweet dude. Go. Go on. No. Go. Okay. All right, so first we're going to take this side with these two little tabs and glue this down. I'm going to put glue on both of these tabs here. Okay, so go ahead and apply glue. I'm going to go a little bit thicker since we're working on two sides at a time. We don't want that glue to dry prematurely, so we're going to lay it on a little bit thicker. Spread it out nice and thin. This side might be, well, no, got just enough on there. Okay, we'll bring this up and line that up as accurately as possible. Then go over to the other side, line that up, press it down against that tab. Perfect. And this is just structural, so you can actually then lay this down flat on your surface and press down on the rest of that tab to help all of it make better contact. There we go. And then what we're going to do, let's move this out of the way just temporarily. We're going to apply glue to this tab, and then this tab, and this tab, and this tab. spread that out on all 4 of these tabs. And again, this is all going to be covered up with another layer, so if you get a little sloppy here, it's okay. Let's match it up with the top first, and then work your way down along this edge. Same thing on this side. Match that up at the top, and then go down here, all the way down. For some reason, my glue is slightly misbehaving here, but it's okay. It'll get the job done. Okay, you can put this down on your surface, push down on that surface where the tabs are. There we go. There we go, okay. Okay, all right, so structurally, not bad. It doesn't really matter which side is the front, which side is the back. It really doesn't make a difference. But before we do anything else, you gotta assemble the chimney. And you'll notice here, there's a series of tabs, but all we're interested in right now is this little tab on the end. So go ahead and apply your glue to this tab here. Let's spread it out nice and thin. Bring it over to the other end and just line that up. Make sure it's flush at the top. And just join that as accurately as you can. Just like that. And technically, you could do this flat too, because this is a symmetrical piece. You can push that down flat to make it even easier for yourself. Okay, so we have a square. And then these tabs here, we're going to use these tabs to actually glue this to the structure. Okay, so we could do this a few ways. Okay, so you'll notice here, there's a side. Let me straighten this out. 2 sides have 2 tabs, 2 sides have 1 tab. The side with the 1 tab is going to go on this side of the house. The side with 2 tabs is going to go up on the peak. Okay, you can probably poke it through this way. Let's see if this will work. It should. Yeah, there you go. Don't pull it out all the way. You want it just enough to where, okay, and for whatever reason, I don't know if it's because this paper's brown and it has a ton of ink, it's really not grabbing my glue very well. Either that or I am just falling apart as far as my gluing goes. I don't think that's the case though. Let me just fix that up real quick. Make that a little more seamless. Okay. All right, so you see how that's in there. Let me flip this around so you can see from the inside. Yeah, you're not gonna be able to see that. I'm gonna need a light. Let's get a light in here. Wow. There we go. Okay. So each of these tabs is going to get glued to the inside. Okay. Now we want this to go up as far as it'll go. I'm going to start with this long tab here on the side, and I'm going to fold it in. Okay, so you can see that tab there. I folded it in. I'm going to apply glue to that tab like that, and then I'm going to take it and I'm going to push it up against this structure here. Now I have to do this like this, otherwise I'm going to make a mess. Now I don't need to look from the inside. I can see that that score mark is lined up properly, and I can feel the tab. I'm pushing against it from the outside and on it from the inside. Okay, and you can see that tab right there, nice and flush. So now we're going to go over to the other tab on the opposite side. You can see it there. And then we'll apply my glue to that, like that. And we're going to take it and fold it over onto this structure. And I'm just going to look at it from here. I want to make sure that that score mark is lined up nicely. I'm going to do it with my right hand, my dominant hand. Make sure it's nice and straight. And line that up as accurately as I can, just like that. Okay, look at that shiny little dot of glue there. Okay, so those two are probably the most important. And now that leaves 4 more. I'm going to pull them out so you can see them better. The process is going to be the same. So you can see tab here and a tab there. I'm going to apply glue to both of them so you can see. Just need a little bit, just a dot. There you go. You can see the 2 tabs, and then what I'm going to do is take and flip it back onto this surface. I'm going to do it by looking here too. I want to make sure that everything is nice and aligned. There's that one. Now we're going to go here and get that one aligned. Give that a quick press. I'll show you from the inside. You can see a little bit of glue shot out, but that's okay. And then I've got 2 more on the other side. You can see there they are, the 2 tabs, just hanging out. Throw a little bit of glue on them. Like bottles starting to. Okay, there's your glue, and same thing. I'm going to take and push those over onto that surface there. Okay, but I'm going to look at it from this way because I want to be able to see what I'm doing. Make sure that everything looks nice and lined up. And there we go. Okay. And that looks pretty good. Looks pretty straight. Okay. All right, cool. So next, what we're going to do, I'm going to start applying some of the panels to this. Okay, and you can pick your front, decide which side looks better. This is going to be my front. So I'm going to start with this panel here, and obviously this is the front, so it's going to go on like this. You want to make sure that it's flush on the bottom. And actually, you know what? Before we put the front on, let's put the sides on. Okay, the sides are going to go like this. So take this, apply our glue to this panel. And the cool thing about this project is we've created some little areas that are very forgiving. Let me turn that light off, it was a little too much. These corners are going to be very forgiving because we have additional overlays that are going to go on top. Okay, just make sure that you have this nice and centered, flush at the bottom, flush along the sides. And remember, these windows, they fold flat, which means that once we have it aligned, we can put this down on our surface and push down from the inside. And it should not cause any problems for us. There we go. Press that down. And it's even more forgiving on the top and the sides. So you really just want to focus on making sure that the bottom is nice and flush and making good contact, because these corner pieces, we have these little sections that are going to go over it. They're going to kind of cover them up in case, well, not in case, we didn't do it in case we had issues. We did it because we wanted that aesthetic, but just so happens that if we goofed up, it'll hide any little imperfections, okay? So going to the other side here, and let's apply our glue. Obviously, you want to make sure it's right side up. Okay. Okay, let's make sure the bottom is flush, make sure it's centered, and then begin pushing down around the edges. Once it's somewhat making contact all the way around, press down in the center. That'll keep it in place while we continue working the perimeter with our fingers. Here we go. A nice old rustic looking workshop. There we go. Okay, that looks pretty good on each of the sides. Wonderful. Okay, so let's see, like I said, which side is going to be my front? I think this is going to be my front. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. Okay, so I'm going to say this is my front. Now this piece is going to go on like this. Okay, so let's flip her around. Apply your glue. Again, make sure the bottom is nice and flush and that the whole piece is nice and centered on the surface. Using my fingers to feel, make sure it's flush. Okay, I'm going to put this down flat, push down in the center to help the majority of it kind of hold on, and then go back and work the edges. Perfect. Okay. There you go. See, now I've got a little seam there, but again, we're going to clean that up. All right, so there's my front. Looks pretty good. We'll flip her over, and now we're going to put the back on. Okay. Focus on getting it centered and having the bottom flush like that. There we go. I can feel that it's flush with the bottom, and it looks good and centered. Let's put that down on the surface, press down in the center, help the majority of the surface area make contact with that surface, and then we'll work the edges. Especially here, looks like this little area needs a little extra love. There we go. Okay. And yeah, I'm happy with that. It doesn't even need to be perfect because, well, everything that's part of this design is also going to hide a lot of the imperfections that we may have. Not to say that I have a lot of them. I don't really have many, actually. But either way, it's going to help out a lot. All right, so next, we're going to finish the bottom part of this, and that's going to involve these little pieces here. Should be a total of 4 of these. One part of this has kind of an angle on it. One part of it's flat. The angle part is going to go on the side where you have the slanted roof. Okay, so you can see what I mean by if you didn't have those corners perfect, this is going to fix it up. Okay, we're going to go easy on the glue here. You don't need a lot. Nice and easy. Just match that up. Make sure it's flush with the bottom first. Push that up against the edge, and then just kind of ease it on in. And that should end up being perfectly flush up there. If it's not totally perfectly flush, it's okay, because up here, if it's not perfectly flush, don't worry about it. We've got another thing. The roof actually will kind of hide that. Hey buddy, you okay? Okay, next we're going to grab this piece and do the same thing on this side. Okay, so we're going to grab this piece next. You can see here I've got the pointed part going right on that surface. I'm going to flatten it out while I apply the glue, just to make it easier. There we go. Okay, fold it in half, or fold it at 90 degrees. Make sure it's flush with the bottom. And just push that up against that edge. That should go on pretty easy. Just like that. Okay. Go over to the other side. You can see this one's going to go right here. Same thing. And then we have a little white overlay that's going to go on top of that to sort of create a candy cane effect, which I thought was pretty clever. There we go. Looking at the bottom here, making sure it's flush. Push it up against the corner. There we go. just like that. And the last one here. Get that in place. Looking at the bottom, push it up against that corner, and just give that a quick little press. And there we go. Okay. All right. Starting to get there. Looking good. Okay. So same process applies here, except that I'm just going to put this on like this. Okay. It's going to go right over that previous layer. And this one's a little bit different because we have the cutouts. So we want to be a little more strategic with how we place our glue on this piece. Okay. I'm going to still fold it out flat. And I'm going to go down the center here. I'm not even worried overall about these little diagonal lines in between each of these little cutouts. I'm more concerned about just making sure that I have glue in the center and outside on the perimeter, because that's all I really need. And then I'm just going to match that up, again, making sure it's flush at the bottom. And I'm just going to pop this up against my body so it doesn't move around too much. Okay, and just make sure it's making good contact throughout. Now this is a pearlescent paper, very similar to a glitter, not as porous, so it may take a few extra seconds to really set, and if necessary, we may need to go in and use our little painting method in any of these little areas, but I don't know if that's even going to be necessary. So far so good. You could also put it down on your surface, press down from the inside to really help that whole thing make better contact, and that's fine. And that looks good. Okay, so you can see that. Now I'm just going to repeat that again for all four sides, and you can see how that's going to go on. Okay, so we'll flatten it out nice and flat. Begin with a little tiny little line of glue in the center. You don't want it to be too thick, and I would recommend thinning it out with your finger once you get it on there, just in case. We don't want it spreading out and onto that beautiful red that we have there. Okay, so that's going to go right here. Let's match that up, especially at the bottom. Okay. Just make sure it's making good contact. That side looks good. This side is kind of pulling away a little bit. Maybe didn't get enough glue on it. Grab yourself a piece of scrap, tuck it under whatever area. Looks like this whole thing just didn't work out quite well for me, so I'm just going to paint some glue right onto that entire surface there and just hold it down. Give it a little extra love. Much better. You can push that down from the outside. And whatever you need to do, if after your first attempt things are looking wonky, just grab your scrap and clean it up. You don't want to tell everyone this. I don't want to say what I usually say. It has something to do with half, another name for a donkey, you know, the three-letter word for a donkey. Don't half, you know what I mean. Okay. Go through and clean this up a little bit more here, since this is the final edge. This is going to be seen by all. I want to make sure it's nice and clean and pristine. You never want to do half your best in anything, really. All right, so just kind of doing a once over, making sure everything looks good. We'll move on to the next section. That's going to go right there. So spread it open. And I've been a little stingy with the glue, so I'm going to go a little bit heavier. But at the same time, try not to overdo it. Spread that nice and thin. There we go. And again, if it doesn't work the first time, I'd much rather just do a little painting than get glue all over the place. Okay, there we go. Press that into place. There we go. That one maybe was a little bit better at the bottom. Not so much on the top, but that's okay. Put that down on my surface. I could already tell it's not going to be perfect, but we're going to clean it up anyway. Okay, I'll grab my scrap. Throw a little glue right on there. Pop it right in between this little area here at the top. The rest of it seemed to be pretty good. There we go. Cool. And let's see here. This little guy needs a little extra love right here. And press that down. It'll be nice and solid when it's all done. Cool, man. All right, last one. Let's make sure that we have it right. Okay, let's open it up. Let's see if I can get this last one. On without having to touch it up. That's what happens when you have a lot of little details like this. It doesn't always work, but we can do our best. Okay. Oh, watch out there, glue. And pop that right on. Make sure it's flush with the bottom. And then apply the rest. Just like that. Give it a good solid push right onto the surface. Okay. There we go. Well, that one might have worked out. Just keep running your fingers along the perimeter. Yeah. Not bad. Push down from the inside. Rotate it. Push down on the other side. You can use a dowel too. That's fine. Might actually work better than your finger. There you go. Okay. All right, so that really straightened the box out too, which is great. All right, so we've got some panels here. You can see one panel is going to go right here with this little cutout. There's going to be one on the other side that's the same shape, and then two flat ones. Let's just get those in place. You can go easy on the glue here. Just make sure you get it out to the edges. I was going to emboss this, but it's a white core, and I was kind of afraid to. I didn't want to mess with it, so just make sure it's nice and flush with the pitch of the roof, or the tip of the roof, the point of the roof, whatever you want to call it. There we go. Grab the other one. Same thing on the other side. Okay. Just drop that right on there. We're going to have a little snowy overlay that's going to go on top of this. And the reason I'm putting this on now is in case we get a little bit of glue on that. It doesn't matter because we have a roof that we still need to put on there. Okay, and then you can see this is going to go on this side. And I might hit that with a little bit of ink. Since we don't have those little candy cane pieces to cover up the edges, we might just ink that a little bit to blend the edges a little bit better. So pop that on there, make sure it's flush with the top and nice and centered, obviously. I want that to be as centered as possible. Press that into place. There we go. Okay, and then the other side. And now since this is a really deep, dark wood color, You have to go with a dark brown or even a black if I want to ink these. The top I'm not so worried about because we do have another snowy overlay that's going to go on top of that. So that will hide that, but you can see since it's a white core, these little edges here, they're kind of showing up and they're rather prominent, which isn't actually a bad touch. I don't mind it, but I'm gonna blend it a little bit. I've got my rich cocoa color and I just need to find, there's my little applicator. Grab some of that pigment, literally just rub it right on the edge. Hide some of that white. It's doing a little bit. This is a very dark color, and it's a little difficult to get into that white. That's okay though, it'll still look great. Okay, that'll work. All right, cool. Next, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this piece, okay, and you'll notice here we have some tabs. So we're gonna take this tab here and apply a little bit of glue to it, just that. Now it does fold, but for the most part, it's gonna be flat. And just kind of created score marks there so that you know exactly where to put your glue. Not so much because it's going to fold, because it is going to be flat. Okay, so start there. And we'll go over to the other side. Let me move this out of the way for a second. Just apply glue just to the tab. We have another overlay that's going to go on top of this, so even then, I'm not overly concerned about get that nice and lined up. Put that down on your surface and press down. Get that nice and straight. And then you'll also notice that on each side here, there's a small little triangular tab on both sides, and we need to join that with what I'll call the front of the roof. So a little dot of glue there. And you're going to want to be patient here while you let that set. Line that up. It's going to be at a little bit of an angle, just like that. Okay, then head over here, and let's move this. Can't really move it too much. Put a little dot of glue on there. Tuck that right behind this section here. Line it up and press. There we go. Just like that, and then finish it up on this side here. I guess I forgot to fold those. So it's always good to fold things. There we go, I did that side, I just forgot to do this side. No big deal. Two more little triangular tabs here on the very corners. Line that up. There we go. Okay. And the last one here, small little guy. Well, same size as the last three, but relatively small. Line that up and press and hold. There we go. I got some dirt on my fingers. Okay, perfect. All right, so the way this is going to work now is we're going to actually apply glue to this entire structure. Keep it away from the chimney. You don't need to get it out to the edges. We just need it to stay in place. So just focus it here and here, like that. And it doesn't matter which side, this is the front or the back. Just slide it right over the chimney. Make sure it's nice and straight. There we go. And there we go. right down onto the peak of the roof. It will automatically center itself. And then if you need to, you can kind of push from the inside to help it make contact. And there you go. Okay. Make sure the front and the back are nice and flat, just like that. Okay, look at that. Really coming together here. Looks awesome. Okay, great. So now we have these two pieces. We're going to put these on first. And these are identical, so it doesn't matter which one you pick. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to apply glue to this entire section here. I'm going to focus on the main part of it first, and then we'll hit the little details here. I'm going to take my finger and spread this out nice and thin. Just kind of work some of that glue onto these little details. I want everything to sit as flush and flat as possible. I'm going to do it like this. And focus on getting all these little details lined up. Not so much whether it is aligned with the top or the sides, because those will fall into place naturally as long as all of these little icicle details match up. Okay, just nice and easy. Work carefully and slowly. You can always go in and paint the other side of it. I just want these sides, these sections, to really make good contact, just like that. And then we can focus on that little edge there. And I can already tell this little section here is going to need a little bit of love there. There we go. Just press and hold that in place. Looks great. Okay, check the sides here. How's my side looking there? Could use a little love there. There we go. It's probably the most practical structure we've ever created, if you think about it, because this is going to be handy if you come down with the cold this winter. Well, you've got something fun to look at and use every single time. You gotta blow your nose. How fun is that? Kids are gonna love this. This is a great little gift for a teacher, a loved one, anybody really. They're gonna be like, wow, that's really cool, actually. Who would have thought of something like that? Okay. All right, so again, I'm gonna focus on lining it up with these little details first. Okay, just kind of squeezing right at these little details. There we go. All the way around. That is not in place. There it goes. Just give those a nice tight squeeze. And then we'll worry about the top edge after we get this all in place. It's just easier to do it that way, at least in my opinion. Let's see if I got enough glue up here. I don't think I did. Maybe I did. Oh, look at that. I did. I definitely. That's normal. If you got to touch up a few little spots here and there, I'm not overly concerned about it because we know how to do that. I'm just going to take our scrap piece, paint a little extra glue right in these areas. Just give it a quick little press. That little edge there is going to need a little extra love. We'll just throw a little extra glue on that. Right in there. Beautiful. And just press that into place. There we go. There's a gap there. Nice gap. If the home inspector came and saw that, they would say, you know, I'm going to suggest you repair that. Okay, there we go. Perfect. looks great. Look at that. Okay, all right, so now we have 2 of these roof pieces. Okay, and these, again, these are not identical. This one's a little bit different. What we're gonna do is we're gonna apply, I'm gonna start off by actually gluing down this part, the icicle part, just like we did with the front. We wanna get those lined up first, and then put the rest of it in place. Very easy. Just line up the little details. Give that a quick little squeeze. There we go. Just like that. Okay. Should be enough clearance to get your little fingers in there. Okay. I may need to go in and kind of clean up the edges a little bit, but that's okay. All right, finally, for this side, just a little bit of glue. I'm definitely going to do some glue right up against the edge there, and right up at the top. A little bit along the inside, and that should just fit on there perfectly. And it does. And just kind of continue holding that up against the surface there. Make sure it's making good contact throughout, especially at the top. There we go. What a great fit. Well, I'll be. That worked out beautifully. And I may take some of my ink and ink this edge too. I don't know why I didn't. And that's okay. You can always do it after the fact. All right, so we'll go over here to the other side. And you know what, I can apply my glue on here. It doesn't make a difference. I can do it on that sheet or right on here. Same difference. Might actually be easier to do it on here since it's pretty stationary. Okay, and let's line that up as accurately as possible. Okay, you get the idea. And because once we have this all lined up properly, the top part will naturally fall into place. It should meet right at the top there. Let's take a look at the bottom. Everything's making perfect contact. Peel this back very gently. Just fold it at that crease. And just like we did the first time, focus a little bit extra glue along the front and back edge and the top. And a little bit along the inside. Bring that up. There might be a little bit of resistance against that chimney. That's okay. And just match that up at the top and focus on applying some pressure along the front and the back edge. All right, so the roof is done. Now if you need to go through, find any little seams that maybe aren't sitting completely flush, use that little painting method and just get it looking as good as possible. Now we have this little guy here. You'll notice that one end of it has a little trapezoid shaped tab. Okay, so find the front and pick one of the middle sections. There's 4 sections. Pick one of the middle sections, apply some glue. Let me clean this off before it gets all over the place. I'm gonna pick this left middle section and just apply a little bit of glue to this. And we're going to apply this to the chimney. Make sure it's centered. Those tabs, or the folds, should meet with the corners of the roof, or I'm sorry, the chimney. Okay, so it looks like that. And then what we're going to do, we're going to actually start working our way along the side that contains the tab. So this is the side that has the tab here. So I'm going to peel this back very gently and apply glue to this next section. Nice and easy, don't overdo it. And bring that over, fold that, and press that up against the side of the chimney. Press that into place. Make sure it's flush at the top. Okay, let's peel this back. And then we can apply glue to this last section, as well as that little trapezoid tab there. Fold that over onto the chimney, flush at the top. And then take and fold that tab over onto the final side, just like that. And then we'll take this last section here, peel it back, apply your glue, press that on the final side of the chimney on top of the tab. Again, making sure it's flush with the top of our chimney. And there we go. We've got glitter going on glitter. Make sure you give that some extra time to set if you're doing the same. And there we go. Okay, so now the chimney has a little bit of a snowdrift on it. Now all we have left to do, well, a couple things, but I want to show you this before. I'm super excited to show you how this works. So again, here's your little compartment. Your house is going to go on here. Should fit perfectly on there. You're going to feed the first one through. So it's like smoke coming out of the chimney. And was that the last one? No, sometimes it does get stuck in there, but pretty much every other time. There we go. You get the idea. Okay, so that was the last one. That's why it was acting funny. That's okay. A couple more things here. On the front, we have the Santa's shop, which I'm going to use some foam squares on. So we'll flip that around. I think 3 will be plenty. So peel those off, and you can see where those go, obviously. Those are going to go right on that green banner. Make sure you've got it nice and centered. There we go. And the front also has our little wreath. Okay, and we can foam square that as well. You can cut foam squares in half with some scissors. Literally, you just cut them in half. And I already have a few that were cut in half, so I'm just going to do 4 of these. One on each side, essentially. Okay. And that's going to go right on top of this beautiful little star, like so. And then, of course, we have that little bow that we're going to put right on top of this little guy. And that you could use a foam square on that if you want. I think I'm just going to glue that down. Just one little dot. This is all you really need. You gotta have a bow on your wreath. Perfect little spot to add a little bit of bling. If you want to add some bling, make sure it's straight. There we go. How cute is that? Okay. There we go. Okay, so let's just look at the fence real quick. Now, on a few of these pieces, there are what I would call, I guess, tabs. And they're very thin, so be careful. Be careful as you fold them. Pretty delicate, but I mean, it's definitely foldable because I was able to do it without a problem. The two pieces that have the folds are actually going to go on the two sides, or opposite of each other, I should say. This is square, so it doesn't really matter which side you put it on. I'm going to put this one here, which means that the other one with the folds is going to go on the other side. So all you really need to do here is apply glue to this piece, like so. Just like that. Okay. Grab one of these pieces with the little score mark tab fold on the end. Make sure it goes over that tab, over the edge. Should be flush with the bottom. It should fold over onto the adjacent surface. Just hold that down, nice and easy. Okay, so you gotta get those two sides on first. Nice classic looking fence. Okay, it's gonna take your machine a little bit longer to cut, but it's just one of those little details that makes it extra special. Okay, other side. There we go. And pop that on there. Make sure, again, it's flush on the bottom, and that those two little tabs make their way onto the adjacent surfaces. Make sure it's flush on the bottom. There we go. Okay, now you just kind of have to decide. Well, let me see if we've decided for you. We might have. I don't think so, though. No, we haven't. Decide which side is the front, which side is the back. The back is going to take this solid piece, and then the front is going to have this piece to make way for a little walkway. So I'm going to take a look at all my sides here. This is going to be my front. This is going to be my back. So what I'm going to do here is apply glue to this entire section, and then also onto this thin little area that was folded over onto this section. Okay, I'm going to take this long strip, lay it right on there, nice and flush with the bottom, and then it should match up with these two little sections here. Line it up as accurately as you can, and just press that down into place. Just be very patient with this little section. It works. There we go. There we go. That's what I always tell Peyton. There we go. You got it, buddy. Okay, last little section here on this end. You can actually almost kind of fold it onto itself in that corner. Okay, cool. That looks great. All right, now, what happened there? It sounded weird. Okay, now over here you can see there's like a half a post here. That's going to go right there on top of that little cutout, the rest of it onto the surface. So let's actually put glue on this piece rather than on the white base, since we can't really be too sure where to not put the glue. So that's going to go like that. And pop that right on top of that little folded edge so we know how far left to take it. Get that nice and aligned. And what might be helpful here is grabbing a thin dowel, because there's no way your fingers are that skinny. Use that thin dowel to kind of push up against that piece to help those two make contact. Pardon my head if it's in the way. There we go. You can do just about anything with paper. It's crazy. Okay, and the same thing on this side. Let's throw a little bit of glue on the post. We'll thin it out in just a second. And on this side, just on the bottom. Okay, let's dab that. Spread that glue out, thin it out. And let's align it with this half post over here first. And then make sure it's flush on the bottom. There we go. I'm going to grab this dowel. Push that up. lined up nicely. Perfect. Cool. That looks great. Awesome. So that's it. Oh, no, it's not. Just don't forget your little walkway. And the finishing touch, the cherry on top. Last hurrah. There's a thinner part and a thicker part. The thinner part is going to go up against the side here. And the thicker part on top. Okay, so I ran out of tissues on the other one because I was going a little crazy. Just showing everybody how cool this was. Okay, so and there you go. Just like that. Ready to go. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Can't wait to see your version of this. If I did it again, I'd probably go with a light wood. Would love to maybe even replicate the look of a log cabin. I think that'd be cool, but either way, these are gonna be great. I know I'm gonna see a ton of these in our Facebook group, but if you enjoyed the video, please take a moment, visit us on our YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. While you're there, hit the little bell so you get notifications anytime we release a new project, whether it be paid or free. And if you make this or anything from our new bundle, I'd love to see it, and so would the rest of our community. So head over to your Facebook and do a search for Dreaming Tree Official. That's where myself and over 45,000 other dreamers hang out and inspire us daily. So hope you enjoyed it, and as always, I look forward to crafting with you again. Hey, thanks for crafting along with me. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, check out some of our other videos, and please consider hitting that subscribe button. Also, don't forget to visit our site and check out our free SVG section, where you'll find over 140 free SVG files complete with assembly tutorials. I'll see you in the craft room.